Hey everybody, welcome back to Terps Esports. Live from College Park, my name is Lily.
And my name is Hayden. Tonight we have quite a special game. The Terps Academy co-ed team will be taking on the University of Wisconsin Stout Blue Devils in an effort to exact revenge for the Overwatch team's loss against them last night.
Tonight, the Terps will be battling it out in the semifinals as we wrap up the PlayVS season. They will play a best of 3 tonight, and if they win, they'll punch their ticket to the grand finals for their PlayVS ranked division. But if they can't come away with the win, they will compete in a consolation bracket. Before we jump into the game, we'll introduce you to the team and take a look at their stats, and we'll even get a chance to chat with the team's initiator, Carrots.
Let's start with the rules of your typical Valorant match. If you've never played the game before, Valorant is an objective-based FPS game where teams of 5 players compete in 2 12-round cycles against each other. The main objectives of the game are to plant the spike, defend the spike, manage economies, and create strategic plans to outsmart your opponent and take the win.
Tonight, like Hayden mentioned, the Terps are going up against the Wisconsin Stout Blue Devils. Academy has had an amazing regular season with a record of 7-1. But on the other hand, the Blue Devils are undefeated. So we can expect tonight to be a super competitive, high-stakes match. But without any further ado, let's jump right into the stats from earlier this season.
I'm not going to lie, it's kind of burning outside today with record temperatures of 90 degrees. But the only thing hotter than that are these fire stats. Let's start by introducing you to the first member of our team. He brings utter chaos and leaves everything destroyed. He's a master controller, and it is none other than Void. You think you'd be able to play the game with eyes, but when Void steps in, you cannot see a thing. Rocking as the team's controller, he's got an ACS of 199, an ADR of 133, and a KD of 1.04.
Alright, I see what we're doing. We're rhyming. I got it. Next up, filling the opponents with Terra, it is my utmost pleasure to introduce our flex player, Jowzera. He is a highly versatile player who will adapt to the team's needs and switch to different agents and roles as needed. He comes into tonight's match with an ACS of 239, an ADR of 151, and a KD of 1.44.
He's an immovable object, controlling space with very few breaches. Say hello to the castle of the team because the next player is Peaches. Sentinels are very important roles in this game with controlling so much map space and facing the opponent's offensive head on. I'd say Peaches is the player I trust the most to hold a tight ship. He's coming in with an ACS of 207, an ADR of 138, and a KD of 1.13.
When he's on Jet, he definitely twirls. Next up as our duelist, we have Swirls. He's got an ACS of 225, an ADR of 143, and a KD of 1.21. Swirls is also a seasoned veteran of Terps Val, and he's playing a crucial role for this team tonight as the duelist. We should definitely expect to see some clean aim and aggressive gameplay from him tonight.
And last but not least, one of the Terps' longtime veterans, a player with so many merits. I'm so excited to say this. I would like to introduce Carrots. Carrots is the team's initiator. She's all about creating opportunities and setting up for the team, whether she's using her abilities to gather information on players' locations, disrupting enemies, or setting the duelists up for some aggressive pushes. She's the one always making sure that the Terps are so many steps ahead. She's got an ACS of 223, an ADR of 146, and a KD of 1.15. Fortunately for you guys, Carrots is joining us for an interview tonight. Hey, Carrots. Been quite a while since we've had you up on stream. I mean, like, you're a pretty big regular around here. And, I mean, you've been here for years in the studio. So how does it feel to get some camera time again?
I'm excited. I've always liked going to studio, not only because do we get like camera time and we get to like, you know, hang out with you guys at studio, the broadcast team, but also because it's one of the chances we get to also hang out as a team regularly. So I think that's really cool.
Yeah, I really love that. And again, it's great to have you back in the stream and in studio. So looking forward to tonight. You guys have come a long way in this tournament bracket. So what are some of like the highlights and lowlights of the tournament, if any?
I would say one of the highlights is, of course, anytime someone clutches. Crazy clutches have gone around the whole season. I have seen some amazing clutches from literally everyone, like 1v4s. And it's just like kills in the spans of 10 seconds, and it's actually absolutely insane. And those moments have always been the highs. If we have to say lows, I would have to say that there was one problem that we were facing a lot throughout the season, which was our spacing and scaling. I would say that we had to spend so much time. We had to spend so much time trying to fix this issue, and I would definitely say that's a low just because of how much time we had to spend on it in itself.
Okay.
But I do think that as much as we had to spend that much time, that also gave us some leeway to not only get better at that particular area, but also grow as a team together because we were just practicing so much on one thing.
Okay, and I mean, like, just kind of a follow-up question on the scaling. Like, do you think you and the team have gotten better at that? Like, can you bring a new form of this in tonight's game?
I think tonight, we have recently got through a bit of a revelation with it. So
Really?
I would say that you can positively look at it. Look forward to it tonight.
I'm very excited. And last but not least, unfortunately, the Overwatch Premier team lost against the Blue Devils last night. A very close match. Since you guys are playing their Valorant team tonight, do you have any words for them?
I would say that we will get the revenge for Overwatch today.
I like it. I like it. Awesome. Well, thanks for your time, Carrots. Again, it was so nice to have you back up in studio, and I wish you and the others best of luck tonight. And to our viewers, thank you so much for tuning into the pre-show. We will be right back after a short commercial break.
I think by the end of the season, like now, we play together. Everyone kind of jokes around a little bit more and kind of shines their natural race. We're excited just to see them play better as well.
With the middle school program, the best part has been seeing the moments of teamwork where the middle schoolers really seem to get the game, and so that's when you can see they're starting to get a little bit hooked on how esports can be so fun.
Off game, or will Red turn things around?
Hey everybody, welcome back. We're super excited. We're going to be jumping into the game shortly, but I believe Hayden has our map picks.
Yes, I do. And for the first map of tonight, we're starting on Bind with your Terps starting on Attack. So pretty fun map. Usually it's a defensive side of map, so at least if they can hold out for the first half of that first half of Bind, then it's gonna look pretty nice. And I think that's one of their comfort picks too.
At least for Premier, it is definitely one of their comfort picks. And I would like to believe that leaches into Academy a little bit. Bind has just been around for so long, and it's a map that, has been reworked, but only a little bit. So I feel like it never really went away. So I believe all of the teams are comfortable on this, on Bind, and it's a really great map. I'm excited to see it tonight.
Yeah, and I mean, you have Napasso coaching both the Premier and Academy, so he's probably bringing in some stuff that he tried out with Premier into tonight's Academy match. For the second map of tonight, we have Haven. Pretty interesting map, and the Terps will be starting on defense.
Yeah,
Not that big of a defensive map at
yeah.
all. Again, it's same kind of a story with Bind, is you kind of have to get through the first half of the map, and then you'll be rolling straight.
And defense just can be tricky in general to start out with because it's never in your hands to set the tone of how the rest of the match is going to go. It's up to the attacking team to do that. So I know sometimes, at least, again, I'm talking about Premier a lot. It's because I watched them for so long at LAN this past weekend. But I know they really struggled because they were having a hard time setting any sort of rhythm when they were on the attack side of things. So I hope that Acad at least has kind of got that under control and has some worked out play calls for the defensive side of things. Just help to get them in a rhythm.
Yeah, and I do want to ask you about the Bloom LAN, because it looked like it was a really fun. But before I do that, the third map for tonight, the third and final map, will be Breeze, and the Terps will be starting on defense.
Breeze is definitely a curveball, because that is not a map that a lot of people reach for. It's kind of avoided, like a bit of a plague, if you will. You love it or you hate it. I like it. I feel like there are worse maps out there, but that's a hot take. I feel like it's not a super common map to reach for.
Yeah, I mean, like, Breeze, it's just so big. Like, there's a lot of stuff to do on it. Like, you have multiple different agent compositions that you can work. You can run a double controller, maybe double senti if you're feeling it that night. But again, Breeze is, I would say Fracture is a more uncommon map, but Breeze is pretty low there on the competitive map pool. So moving back to the Bloom LAN, like, how was it?
It was so much fun. I had an absolute blast. Huge shout out to our Premier Val team. If any of you are watching, they had an absolute amazing performance the whole weekend. They won it in grand finals in 2 out of a best of 3. I was casting with a JMU student, and it was just so much fun to see a collaboration from all these different schools, the competitive nature of it all, and also the cherry on top is winning. So huge congrats to them. Shout out, obviously. But we have Academy to focus on tonight, who is on their own winning campaign. They are knocking on the door of heading to a grand finals of their own, which would be a huge deal for them. So sending all the good juju to them tonight. They're going to need it because, like we said, the Blue Devils are undefeated. It's going to be competitive.
I mean, we have some really good teams over here at UMD Esports, and I mean, our Valorant team especially is like top tier because one Premier team winning Bloom LAN, and then already our Academy team has come so far in their division, and I don't think that's going to stop. They're on such a roll right now. And just for some information, we are in a tech pause. I believe this is us setting up our overlay.
That would be exciting.
Yeah, I've had a really good opportunity to help work on the overlay and kind of experiment with it during stream. So don't blame me if there's any other tech pauses.
We know who to blame. No, I'm kidding. Huge shout out to Hayden and Void, who's actually playing tonight, who in between warming up has been trying to help us work out some of the kinks of the overlay system. Although he has a match to warm up for, so we can't quite expend all of his resources at once. But hope it works out. But regardless, it'll be a competitive match tonight. And Overwatch also was a competitive match last night, and they narrowly lost. I know they're not happy with that result. So the Terps, Val at least, looking to revenge them.
Yeah, I mean, again, same team. So there has to be some kind of like revengeful attitude, like, all right, we're coming in, we're gonna beat these Blue Devils, and we're gonna take it. Because I mean, like, who doesn't love a little underdog story? You have the Blue Devils that are undefeated in this tournament bracket, and then you have the Terps that are slightly lower, and at least in terms of record, but man, these Terps look really good. Yeah, after even speaking with Carrots too, like, they've had a lot of time to practice on their lows, and judging by what she said, I seem pretty happy and excited about what we're going to see tonight.
And keep in mind, although there is a small differential between these teams, it's by one singular game. The Terps have only lost one. Blue Devils, of course, undefeated. So they have the slightly better seeding, meaning that they went into the map and map picks and like side picks with a bit of an edge. They got to pick first in those areas. So although the differential is small, the Terps are certainly feeling it, not able to quite reach for their map picks that they wanted to off the bat.
Yeah, and kind of looking at tonight's game, I just want to talk about the agents because I got a little bit of a glimpse of what we saw on Bind, and I saw a mix.
Yes, yes. And Mix is such a fun agent. Void is going to be running the Mix. And hey, we have Carrots on Chamber. So
this is going to be a good game.
It is going to be a great game. We also have Chamber on the other side as well. So double Chamber action.
Yeah, I think Chamber is like one of the more common agents to play on Bind. Like usually on a lot of other maps, you don't really opt into playing a Sentinel. Either you have two initiators, two controllers, and one duelist, or two duelists, one initiator, two controllers, or just some kind of mix of that. But usually you don't see Sentinels that much. But with a lot of play in at least this tournament, we have seen a lot of Chamber, especially on Bind.
Yeah, and again, looking at Premier, they do the same exact thing. They run Jinho on Chamber every single time they are on Bind. And Carrots is really nasty with that Chamber utility. So hopefully it's going to feel almost like Premier never left, because I'm sure Carrots is going to land some very Jinho-like shots on Chamber, because she is so skilled with those long-range weapons.
Yeah, I mean, if we're talking about Jinho, going back to the Bloomland, I was able to tune in to the cast, and I caught some of the most like crazy highlights from Jinho. Like I remember watching during overtime, and what was happening in front of my eyes. I mean, if you guys didn't see it, it was an absolute masterpiece, and it's something that Jinho is like usually consistently doing, especially on Bind. So if No Passo's got Carrots doing something similar, we're in for a real treat tonight.
Yeah, maybe it's Coach Napasso who's so good at coaching these Chamber players, because we have two really strong Chamber players, Carrots and Jinho, both on Premier and Academy. So certainly looking forward to see some clean aim from her tonight. I believe we also are running a Viper, which is a pretty standard pick on this map. I believe the Blue Devils also reached for that Viper pick. Makes me think of Moose, but it's a really good pick on this map. Those walls can be really beneficial for getting onto sites on the attack, particularly that A short wall that gets thrown pretty consistently, but also, of course, when you're defending, you have smokes. So yeah, that is also a comp that I'm happy to see the Terps reached for.
Yeah, I mean, on the topic of Viper, like the lurk potential that you have, especially on Bind, like you said, with that A short wall, but even maybe doing something weird, like if you're on defense, a lot of times that we've seen in Bind play, usually Vipers like to play on B side and send a wall that goes to the TP and kind of like hides showers a little bit, which I think is really smart, because then you can start playing for the orb, start farming for ultimates and stuff. But Viper just has so much potential, and I think a lot of teams, especially in this tournament, know that. And I mean, at this point, she's a staple.
And I don't know if we've fully gotten to introduce Mix, because I don't know if we've had a stream where we've had someone play Mix. Mix is a new agent for those who may have not seen. He has a lot of cool utility. It's all music based. I know he has one piece of utility that can act either as a heal or a decay, depending on if you use it on enemies or allies, which is really cool. It kind of reminds me of some like Overwatch action a little bit. Yep. But he also has an ultimate that's kind of Breach-esque.
It's like a Breach. Yeah. It's like a mix between like Breach or Fade at that point, because I mean, you still get like you can't hear anything, but you get knocked back a little bit. Where would I put that ultimate? I'd probably put it lower than both of those. It's not great, but it is really good in a post plant scenario. It's because you can send somebody flying. You can send somebody flying off of the spike, which is, in my opinion, really really good. And the smokes too. The smokes are pretty good. They last I want to say the last like 19 seconds ish, and then the last ability is a stim that you can either use on yourself or use it on a teammate, and when either you or the teammate gets a kill, that stim resets, or the stim timer resets, which it's really good. And I've seen like some combinations with Neon and Mix, just because Neon's like broken right now. It just takes her to another level. It's insane.
Yeah, Mix has been super duper fun to watch, and I love playing with a Mix because I love the little sounds, like it's a little song. It's great if you haven't heard it. Anyway, here we are, finally into the game. Terps gonna be kicking this one off on the attack. They have somehow already managed to get this bomb planted. Seemingly no problem at all. There's a lurk on that A site. Doesn't seem to be an issue for now. Terps setting up for a post plant. Oh, and off the bat, some trades come through outside of Belong. Meanwhile, Carrots takes care of a potential flake that could have been an issue. Mix utility, we hear it coming into action. Meanwhile, it's a trade fest here on this B site. Bomb still planted, and this Viper is ripping through the Terps. Carrots is the last Terp alive, just teasing in Hookah. Not going to give a solid peek. Instead, she's going to use her Bandit and just narrowly loses the pistol round.
Carrots so close. The one thing that really caught the Terps off guard was just those two players sitting in Garden. Like, they were kind of pinched. Like, they had nowhere to go. Either they had to stay in Hookah or stay on site where they're going to get pushed from CT and Garden. It was just kind of like a weird position the Terps were in. But Carrots still looks like she's on top of her game now. Like, still thinking clearly. She's got her shots on point. Let's see what happens this next round. I mean, Chamber is such a really good agent at like one of these save rounds after pistol, because you can buy up so many of the pocket guardian, the headhunter ammo, and at least have some sort of fighting chance. And Carrots is unfortunately going to go down to that outlaw early on in the round, so it's going to be a 5v4. But the Terps still have a lot of agents to work with. They still have smokes. They still have the aggressive nature of Raze. They still have a little bit of recon from the Fade.
And you hate to see the Terps lose Carrots that quickly, but look, they have that A short Viper wall to fall back on. We knew that was something that the Terps were going to utilize heading into Bind. However, they have a lot of defenders posted up on this A site that they've got to take care of. They do have some positioning towards showers where Peaches is set up, but Swirl's going to go guns blazing to lamps. Not quite going to cut it for him. Meanwhile, Peaches trying to cut the losses that have already happened. Gets caught in a high-low. Unfortunate. Unwinnable for Peaches. Jowzera trying to be the equalizer. He is the last Terp left alive. His position completely up for grabs. 31 HP to work off of, a Bucky and a Sheriff in hand. Just too much of a tall task. So the Blue Devils kind of looking like they're the ones to strike early here.
Yeah, but the Terps are on their full buy round, full buy-ish. Rifles across the board, and at the very least, they don't really have to deal with too many guns. Again, they have the Guardian, or the Blue Devils have the Guardian and the two Guardians in the Outlaw, which could be very dangerous, especially since 3 of the Terps have light shields. But this might look like a very even round. Both sides are getting kills, and the Waylay's super aggressive here.
Meanwhile, there's already a fight Belong where Swirls is on the receiving end of a really great shot. Carrots comes through with the equalizer, but the Terps have not really gotten just a glimpse of any of these sites. Instead, they're going to have to regroup and reconsider because the defense is still pretty spread out across this map.
Yeah, they have to be really careful about that A short. I believe Carrots already knew that the Waylay was there, so that space that they lost, and just having a Bucky there makes problems so much worse. But Carrots might be looking to get some space up in showers, which have given them a little bit of a fighting chance and a much better execute onto site.
Oh, you gotta watch out for this Waylay who's creeping up short. It's gonna have to be Jowzera who has to diligently clear that angle before gaining any space. Meanwhile, Carrots still trying to put the work in through showers. They have drawn a decent amount of the defenders towards B site. They can overwhelm A, especially with Carrots getting the opening pick. Will Jowzera be able to handle what's coming right in front of him? Peaches helps him out. So the Terps finally are going to be able to get this bomb down and be in a numbers up post plant scenario.
Yeah, they just got to be really careful not to lose any more guns here, because I mean every gun is still a worthwhile. Carrots knows where the chamber is, so close to hitting that headshot.
Oh, and she's still trying to have to TP back to safety eventually, but meanwhile, Void putting in the work on site. It was only good for one. He has 3 of his teammates who are still left alive here, and Carrots will seal the deal.
With a 3K that round, Carrots is on fire already. She's hungry to win this.
Hey, and I would be too. You're going to get into grand finals if you win this series. That's a big deal. So super high stakes. The Terps definitely want to stop this before the Blue Devils get on a run here, and they did a good job of doing that the last round.
Yeah, and they're able to take home a few guns. I believe they kept 3, which is really good coming into this round. But I want to say the plays from Carrots in showers, just holding that map space. I mean, Chamber is so good at just holding that showers. I think that's the best place that he can be. But the other Chamber sitting here with a Marshall, I believe, just holding, and I believe they already got a sight on it.
Well, and they do know there is someone holding that angle, and don't get a collat here. Terps play this wisely. They get away by the skin of their teeth. Not quite enough to take down any of our players. Heal comes through. That's a really big advantage of having a mix on your team. We're at an even playing field.
Yeah, they just got to be careful now because this few players are, or I think just Swirls is one shot to this Marshall, but Chamber Trip does go down, so that's a little bit more pressure that's being put on Blue Devils, and they might rescale back up to A, but there's 3 people already waiting there. Is this a good idea?
And the Terps have not utilized TP at all yet. They're just going onto site the old-fashioned way, but when you have Carrots, that becomes much easier as she is landing all of her opening shots here. And finally, we are going to see a TP play happen, and it's going to be a re-hit towards B site, where there's only the Chamber who's really in position to take a site fight. Chamber is able to find one, and the Terps come crumbling down. Swirls not enough to be the hero that round, and man, it looked like it was going to go the Terps' way, and all of a sudden it didn't.
Yeah, I think just that one mix concuss, like it was an ill-placed mix concuss, but what can you do? You can't really Void can't really see through that Viper wall, so it was just kind of like a throw something at him, see if it hits him. But again, it was still a good try though. I want to say they don't really have too much to fall back on. Swirls is gonna look to buy maybe a light weapon. It looks like this Judge, but I believe their Chamber already has an op, so that's gonna be a very big thing to deal with.
Hey, but our Chamber also has an op. Looks like Carrots
used that.
Yeah, she used her ultimate, so that's available to them too. Granted, it's harder to use when you're on the attack side, but the Terps still trying to make it work. Throwing down a lot of Viper utility to try and weasel onto this A site. They haven't really found much success. They're kind of sitting there cutting noise. Might be a fake rotate coming through.
Oh, this is going to be really weird.
Unlucky, and that is our counter op down. So now the Terps are aware there's an op on this site. They're staying true to the site though. They are not rotating, but the B players are staying put too, so they're kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place. They are going to try to make this A site work. They have the mixed smokes to try and help them out. Swirls just takes a long range fight with a short range weapon, and that is not going to work out. Peaches also dies into Lamps. Terps struggling to get this bomb down. They're still on this site, but they're dying. Peaches lands some silver lining, but the Blue Devils are being so dominant so far.
Yeah, they're playing like really far back. I mean, I don't know if you noticed, but the Brim knew that one of them was going to have a Judge. I mean, like, why else wouldn't you buy a Judge in that spot? Because like taking care of U-Haul or taking space in U-Haul is really important for a post plant, but just the holding of angles, the sheer like it's just patience.
And we are in a timeout right now for the side of the Terps, and I do like that this timeout came at the time it did. May seem early, it is early, but I think that's what we need, because it's very easy for this game to get out of hand if you don't get a firm grasp on it sooner rather than later. The attack is difficult. It can be hard on this map for sure, so I don't think the Terps are panicking too much, because you know, some teams are just more attack-sided than others, but I still agree with taking the early timeout here, regrouping. There's not much room for error, this being a playoff game. Yeah,
I mean, especially with the double controllers and the Chamber at the same time too. It's a lot to work with, and you don't get that much much aggressive power. I mean, you do have the raise, you do have the fade, so you still have a little bit of aggression there, but just having the double controllers, you just kind of have to slow things down.
And there's just, like you said, so many smokes happening. We have a Viper on both sides, and we also have Mix and or Brimstone. So no one's really seeing much of anything. Blue Devils are just kind of winning their gunfights is when those smokes end up dissipating eventually. So outside of the timeout, UMD once again looking like they're throwing up kind of a similar play call. The execution looks to be unfolding in a slightly different manner, with making some noise on A site, drawing 4 defenders that way, and then walking and quietly rotating back towards Carrots and that B site.
But I think they kind of have to learn from their mistakes here. They've lost A quite a few many times, and there's already 4 of the Blue Devils here on A. So either they just kind of have to rethink their decisions and maybe scale up B, which it looks like they're going to do. There's only 1 player on B, which is going to be a lot easier to deal with than 4 players on A, and they got to go quick because these 2 players are already rotating. Something's got to happen, and we see Swirls already popping out that Razel gets 1. That's huge. The sky kill is so huge because that cuts off all of their heals for the rest of the round, and he's hungry for more.
Yeah, he's still out for blood. He knows where that Viper is. That Molly may have just saved that Viper's life. Meanwhile, Carrots holding an off angle, and it pays the price for it. That Chamber very good with an op, and the Terps have yet to get that op out of his hands. Peaches still trying to find some picks on this bomb site, and all that's left is the Chamber for Blue Devils. He's picked up a Vandal, and Void able to take care of that no problem. So very good execution on the other side of that timeout.
Yeah, it was very well timed too, because like once all those players started to rotate over A, there was 4. There was no way they were gonna entry onto that like hellscape of what it is A site. But the rotate and just the timing of it, they caught the Swirls caught the sky off guard, and I would say just a pretty perfect timing there with his ult.
And it's really satisfying to see Ray's ult land. They don't always land. They're trickier than they look. So when they do, like Swirls had a really great time in that last round, it's always very satisfying. This time, the Chamber for Blue Devils still has some form of an operator, and it has really posed some issues for the Terps. Will they have an answer for it this round? But look at how the Blue Devils are positioned. They're being much more aggressive than they have been in rounds past. Meanwhile, the Terps wisely backing up here, but time is of the essence here. The Terps have got to find a way to plant this bomb, and they're going to have to fight for every inch. There's a Waylay ultimate used somehow. Void able to get the pick, although it's not enough here. 2 Terps die in the process. So not too much damage on either side. Meanwhile, Swirls still trying to cook up an A execute. But this HP is absolutely dying for Peaches, and it's just an easy one-shot to take care of him. So he just leaves Jalzera to take this one alone.
And it is a 1v2. It's not like unwinnable, but the one thing that Jalzera has to watch out for is the Chamber op.
Definitely takes a hit to his HP, throws some fade utility. It's enough to avoid the crosshair of the Waylay for now. He still needs to take care of this Chamber. He's going to swing, and the Chamber will land that operator shot. And it looks like that Chamber might just be the biggest competition for the Terps right now.
I would agree so myself, too. I mean, just having the fact that, like, the Chamber's already ran op most of these rounds anyway, and it's becoming so detrimental. The Terps have to kind of like overcome that, and the Chamber is 11-3 right now.
Yikes!
That adds some more fuel to the fire, but there's got to be a way that Terps can kind of reroute this Chamber and maybe play around him a little bit. You know, like either smoke or something. Maybe, you know, different kind of lurk wall up on A. But speaking of A, there's only 1 player on A. The Blue Devils look like they're going to try to gamble stack onto B, but it's not going to work.
And this could be huge if the Terps get an early read and flood onto this A site, but they've got to do so very quickly. They're starting to clear some of those corners. They have the mixed smokes to help them out, and yes, they are finally able to reach this A site unscathed, but they gotta watch out for that flank. The Sky and the Waylay are flanking very, very quickly and from 2 different angles. That's something that the Terps need to be aware of moving into the later stages of this round. Does look like Jowzera does have some inkling of what's going on, but his teammates are dying on site, so he has to revert his attention back that way. Peaches, Void, both of them land 2 great shots.
Beautiful shot.
Carrots, oh my goodness, that was so nasty, and it might just be enough to give the Terps a round win, especially when Void is using this Viper Pit to his absolute advantage and his own smoke. But the Waylay, still alive, was able to take down Peach's bomb, taking down beyond repair at this point, and what a huge round for Void and Carrots.
I mean, the way Void played that was so amazing. I mean, like, making sure that nobody heard his footsteps when he was trying to traverse the Viper ult, and he knew there was a slight crevice connecting the box into the Viper ult. And somebody's going to have to go through there. You don't want to go through the Viper ult, so you're going to choose the path of less resistance. And that's what he was predicting. And it was just such a great round from Void, especially just to cover him off from his own smoke on box, which netted him his 3K. So coming into this round, the Terps do have to be very careful about these 2 ults, the Brimstone and Viper ult. Both of these ults are probably one of the strongest one in the game, and this is going to be a hard fight for Garage.
Oh, and they're just trying to clear every angle they have available to them. Chamber TP makes it very difficult to get your hands on a firm kill there, as Swirls found out in Garden. Meanwhile, they're still kind of just sitting outside Garden, but Terps pretty spread out across the map here. They're weighing their options everywhere. They're going to just see what Carrots is able to do with a Marshall in hand should a peek come through. The Waylay might just give her a pixel, and that's all she really needs, as we've been able to see. But she's going to hide in the smoke, bring up some of her chamber utility. It is going to make the decision to just back up behind another Viper screen. No one can see anything. There's so many smokes in this lobby. Terps regrouping towards mid.
This could be a make or break situation. I really don't like that this Waylay has this judge, but Carrots maybe following up through shorts or through showers could be huge, but Swirls already gets taken down by the chamber.
And man, this showers fight has been a long time coming, but Peaches will rendezvous with Moose, or with Carrots outside of lamps there, showers, excuse me, and somehow it's a 2v2. Terps going to take that TP and run for dear life to get on this B site before any Blue Devils catch up to them. They have 10 seconds to plant this bomb. They've got to stick it if they get to site. They do. Mix utility able to scare any defenders coming that way yet. But they've got to be really careful at how they're peeking their angles here, because looks like the Blue Devils have their crosshairs in the right places to instantly kill a swing that comes through. Looks like they're going to choose to double swing this. Peaches makes it work regardless and kind of scares the Sky back into their own spawn. Void able to clean up the rest. And although it looked a little bit haphazard, Terps were able to get it done.
See, I really like that peek, just the fact that they double swing there. They were expecting 2, but fortunately there was only the Brimstone. And then let's get a replay of this. Yeah, again, beautiful peek. And the Sky coming in here to take Peaches out, but Void able to close out that round. Now we have a game on us. It looked a little bit one-sided in the beginning, but now the Terps are starting to bring it back and get a little bit of momentum here. They have started to build up a little bit of an economy. They are taking some hits here and there. Again, still really close rounds, but again with the 4 stack.
And it keeps happening for the Blue Devils, and they've kind of paid for it in the recent rounds. Meanwhile, look at Carrots. TP's back to safety as she's the lurk player here, but she does have Peaches for the reinforcements. But no, both of them get picked off outside of showers. But that's all the Terps that were there. And it may have just been enough to draw the attention of the defenders on that A site, but it wasn't enough to get that rotate off of B. Swirls has to do the work here to clear site. It's going to use the Raze ultimate yet again. It cannot quite get it off. You hate to see it if you're a Terps fan. So it's just the 2 of them here together, Jowzera and Void, trying to hold down the fort. Oh, Jowzera takes a very unfavorable fight, and the Blue Devils respond.
It was going to be a really good try from the both of them, but just so unlucky that Swirls didn't get his ultimate off, because I believe he would have killed both the Viper and Sky there. So that's just unlucky timing, but still such a good try though. Still have a little bit of money to fall back on, not too much, but Void does have his ult and Carrot has hers. And Jowzera's one ultimate point away from the Fatal, which could be really, really good. Like, if you combo, let's say, a Mixel and a Fatal, that could be really dangerous for just getting onto site and having a completely free site.
And look, Carrot's already is planning on using her ultimate, so hopefully that's going to kind of give the Terps the edge that they need here, although they are going to play pretty reserved with the exception of potentially a Showers peek coming through, but they're just kind of leaving Carrots on her own to potentially get that peek. It's the other chamber on the other side of that corner there, so a bit of chamber on chamber crime potentially should the peek come through. Doesn't look like it's going to anytime soon, although the Terps scaling back towards that B site. And Carrots is still patiently waiting. I think the Terps are really just trying to draw peeks towards her direction. They're being quiet, hoping that one of the Blue Devils gets impatient and rotates in her general area, but she's holding this angle strong and she might get a peek here. The Viper screen is definitely going to help the other chamber escape if he needs to. And the Terps can't make up their mind here. They're going A, they're going back to B, and finally have landed back on A, but the fight that we were hoping for and watching for does not turn out so great for the Terps, and now this A site has to work out. Void lands the opener there. They do have these Viper orbs on this bomb site. Swirl's able to clear a little bit of more space as well. So the Terps are looking like they're in a good position here.
Yeah, they do have this mix ult for post plant. The only problem is you kind of have to play somewhere where there isn't a wall behind the spike. Otherwise, it'll push you into the wall, and the person that's defusing will keep defusing. But it is a 4v3. The Terps still low on weaponry with the Guardian and Spectre, but at least Swirls and Void both have those Phantoms, which could be very detrimental in fighting for this post plant.
It almost looks like Void could be playing for ult if he needs to, especially with that Viper pit being used. He just might need to sooner rather than later, as Jowzera trying to fight in the pit, buy some time. Trades come through inside this pit. Bomb is taking down beyond repair.
There's no time.
Void is there and gets a 3-piece regardless. Manages to save his gun as a cherry on top. So another great round for Void.
Yeah, I mean, add to the aura points with that was not dying by the spike after that, but the 3K from him, just again, so well strategically thought out.
It was very strategic. I looked like he was playing for his ult there, but I really think he was just playing for his life, knowing that obviously it was going to be a bit of a bloodbath in that Viper pit, saving his life and just using it to help that spike get a little bit more inches towards blowing up.
Yeah, and I believe he did use his ult, and coming into this round, Carrots does have an op, trying to fight for the shower space. There's going to be multiple people, but Void with an insane flick onto the waylay.
Oh, and the Showers fight is absolutely brutal with Carrots landing an operator shot. Swirls as well, hitting his shots. And it does look like there's going to be a lot of mixed utility set up on this site to help with the Terps by a little bit more extra insurance, although they do have a Sky ultimate to work around. They're able to get this bomb down. They don't really know where this Viper or Sky is positioned, although Peaches is watching that way. Sky Flash does come through. Peaches gonna peek and lands!
Peaches through the smoke!
An absolute
You
beauty.
cannot be doing that!
But the job is not done. The Sky certainly giving the Terps a run for their money, forces a 1v2 here, and Peaches cleans up that round. So Terps have been looking a little bit better these last couple of rounds.
Yeah, like I said in the pre-show, Peaches is like the castle of this team. Holding a short is just so detrimental for that post plant, and he's letting nobody get near the spike.
And look, we are at a tied scoreline at the half, so Terps going to be switching up to be on the defensive side of things, and it's been just as competitive of a match as we would have hoped for here in the semifinals. But of course, we're rooting for the Terps to win map number 1. It definitely takes the pressure off heading onto map 2.
Oh yeah, no, I totally agree, and I really like this Viper and Fade play here on B site. B site is kind of hard to retake, so I think if you put most of your defensive capabilities onto the B site, it makes it a lot easier to just kind of contest for that. A on the other side is I'd say relatively easy to retake, but Carrots posted up in showers, maybe trying to fight the chamber one-on-one. And I think Blue Devils are starting to realize there are a lot of players stacked on A, so they're going to look more towards the B site. But there are already 2 players in here holding hookah. This is going to be a battle for the ages. Peaches gets 1. Not able to get the second.
Oh, but Jalzera is there to try to avenge him and get the refrag. The Raise-Aid will slow him down just enough, but the Terps still being so aggressive on the defensive side of things. Carrots not quite able to connect, unfortunately, towards A. It dwindles the Terps' numbers down just to 2 places. And look, the defenders are completely out of position here, and they're going to have to be forced into a very unfavorable retake. And they also have to watch out for the chamber that's right on their tail.
Yeah, I feel like somebody had to have calmed that, because if Carrots died on A, they have to know that they're at least the chamber's flanking him, and it looks like it is, but they're going to be smoked off in Garden, so this is going to be a really weird retake. They're the attackers now.
Oh, they're just trying to get an inch on this bomb site, but look at Jalzera, who has not done his campaign here. Oh, and it will come to an end eventually, but that almost looked beautiful for a second.
That was crazy. I mean, like, you know, it's still smiles in the studio here, but that was some crazy shots.
Yeah, and I love the Ghost. I think it's such a great gun, especially on pistols. Jalzera obviously showing why, but that, you know, you lose the pistol round, you're forced into a save and you're up against a buy. So you kind of go into this round almost expecting to lose, and that's just not the start the Terps wanted to the defensive side of things.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I think the Terps might start looking into some shotguns pretty soon. They are 3 stacking through showers. Carrot's going to get taken down by the Marshal, and it's Jalzera to trade. And that's a gun for them, which is really, really good. And it looks like all of them are going to rotate to B. The Blue Devils had that read that most everybody was there, and Terps are going to kind of respond to that.
Yeah, and they're not in position to really hold down this site at all, especially with Peaches getting picked off. So does Void. Oh my goodness, all the Terps coming absolutely crumbling down. And now it's just Swirls. We've seen him do crazier, but this would be a tall task for Swirls. He's getting absolutely overwhelmed into Hookah. And the Blue Devils are gaining a little bit of a lead here on the attack.
Yeah, but this is the Terps' buy round now. Looks like they're going to full buy a regular rifle loadout. They still got to be really careful about this Outlaw, because a few of them do have light shields and regen shields. That's something that they gotta kind of watch out for. So maybe a patient / passive hold of showers might be the way to go here, because usually the chamber plays, and it looks like the chamber is gonna go over to showers or a short.
Oh, and speaking of patience, there's absolutely none in showers, where they're just out for blood on both sides. Terps somehow able to come up numbers up on the other side of those fights that happened. But they haven't really done a good job of stopping this B-site hit at all. Losing Peaches, that's a lot of valuable Viper utility that the Terps are not going to have to their disposal. And it's going to be a 2v2 retake, but I fully trust in Void, especially with the game that he's been having so far. This is not a round that the Blue Devils can just take their hands off their keyboard for.
Oh, no, I totally agree, but they got to be careful of this one person. Yes, it's the Viper, and Terps are going to lose their buy round. That's not really what you want to see, especially on Bind, too. Like, your second half and you lose your buy round. Where do you go after that? You're already down, and it looks like this chamber is going to buy yet again another op, which still poses a massive threat. And Swirl's kind of thinking about a hero Vandal there, and Void, I believe, is going to opt into the Judge. A very smart choice. I think Bind is one of the better maps to run shotguns with, a long split.
And with that Judge, like, you're just looking for like a couple of silly picks to go your way. You want something. You want to get lucky. You want to start to kind of, you know, make the momentum sway in your way. But UMD just being aggressive. Carrots forced to TP back into safety as a trade does come through on that A site. They gotta watch out for the quick scale up B. Meanwhile, Terps still trying to gain any control on A that they have with Carrots fighting into lamps. Not gonna be enough to stop this bomb from coming down, but look at the Terps cooking up a flank here. Does look like the Blue Devils are aware of it as they do find Peaches. However, Jalzera is still there, is able to reconvene with Carrots. Jalzera down to less than optimal HP, shot. But Carrots is absolutely landing these beauties. They have to corner the sky here, and now it's just Carrots who lands another really clean shot. 22 HP against an operator, and eventually they will be able to take care of Carrots, but she's just landing in some insane shots tonight.
I guess her cursor is just like magnetized towards the opponent's heads, and that was just crazy. I think she only had two bullets to work with to begin with, and both of them landed, which is crazy. It does put some pressure on the Blue Devils' economic standpoint. Like, they did lose a lot of guns. I don't believe they did not lose the operator, which is probably the high value gun out of that out of their team loadout. And we are going to take a timeout, I believe, on the Terps' side, which is I'd say it's a pretty good timeout. Last time they took a timeout, everything just kind of switched, and the momentum started flowing in the Terps' way. So I feel like there's got to be something that falls along the lines of that after some good words from Napaso, also known as Arjun, the co-ed coach.
And you gotta hope it's similar to, like you said, last time we came out of the timeout, we had some words of wisdom and we absolutely dominated for the rest of the half. However, looks like the Terps on the defensive side are holding a really high line. They're being really aggressive. And last round was kind of the first round we saw them try something else, and it didn't quite work out, which I think also prompted the timeout to come when it did. But I wonder if the play call for them is going to be to continue playing aggressive, or to maybe split like they're doing now and be a little bit more conservative.
Yeah, but this is going to be really nice because Carrots does have that operator now. Just get a little bit of space, but this just looks like another one of these 4-man stacks for Blue Devils, and they are going to send a lot of utility out. They do have the option to TP, but it doesn't look like that's going to happen. And Void does get an unlucky takedown by the Sky.
And the rest of the Terps are caught out of position to hold down the B site. They're actually creeping outside of Hookah, potentially going to wrap long, which could be huge if they get their timing right. That fight is coming up any second now with Jalzera peeking, gets on the receiving end of an operator shot. Peach is trying to avenge his teammate, but that operator is still in play. Meanwhile, Swirl is getting picked off, not going to make matters any better for the Terps. They've completely lost this site, and they are just trying to crawl back. Again, with that operator, it becomes very difficult. Carrots has a very expensive gun in her hand and is in a 1v5.
No.
And unfortunately falls a victim to the knife.
Yeah, this is going to be a really good spot for the Blue Devils. Unlucky spot for the Terps because they have 3 ultimates to deal with now. Swirls has his Raze ult, which it's been kind of a hit or miss. I mean, sometimes he's gotten unlucky, and sometimes he's gotten some pretty good value out of it. It's just a really clunky ult to be working with a lot of times, and sometimes you won't come out on top.
Yeah, I think the Raze ult, it's like a classic right click where sometimes it lands perfectly and sometimes you can hit it right at someone and they just manage to be alive still. So I think Swirl is definitely trying to navigate that. But with that ult online, it could have the potential to sway rounds, but it looks like the judge will be the one to sway rounds so far in this really crucial round where the Blue Devils have 4 ultimates and a big lead to work with. Terps have an uphill battle to fight here. They're trying to play it a little bit more quietly towards backside, make the smokes work for them. They do have a Viper Pit to go up against, though. They're just trying to spray, trying to just do some damage, make some shots connect, and they do for Peaches. But there's so much work to do still. They hear the cue of the TP, and it's a true indication of what's happening. This bomb is on B site.
The Carrots did want to stay there, but I think they're going to reroute to back to A just to hold this, keep this Viper ult. And the Waylay is just so aggressively pushed up, does take down Peaches. And it's just hard to retake this one choke spot because of this judge. This judge is causing so much problems for the Terps, but Swirls able to cut the head off the snake.
2 Terps alive, 3 Blue Devils. Time is of the essence for the Terps. Swirl's gonna use his Raze ultimate. There's one right beneath him. He's able to turn in the nick of time.
1 HP.
And he's the last Terp alive, up to 27 HP. Outside of that, Viper Pit has a bomb to defuse and 2 players to watch. It's a really tough battle for Swirls. And now the Blue Devils are knocking on the door.
This Unity does still have a little bit of leeway with the economy, and I think this is so funny. It's a point blank Razel. I feel like if I shot that, my Razel would have killed me as well.
Yeah.
But the fact that he was on 1 HP was crazy. But he still got the Viper out of there, which is huge. And we go into the last round. Last round for the Blue Devils, looking to close this out. But hopefully the Terps will have something to say about this. Carrots does have her ult.
Yeah, she's not able to quite get a clean shot or clean view of anyone yet. Terps going to be defending in the style of a 3-2 split. Pretty classic. And it does look like the Blue Devils spreading themselves out across the map. They did make themselves known outside of B long a little bit, and now it does look like UMD is opting to take a little bit more of an aggressive fight, particularly with Carrots, having information off of that Fade utility, holding true to her angle there, but the Blue Devils are being really patient.
And they do know where the chamber is now. Again, Carrots just holding this sight line. The Waylay doesn't want to give anything up.
Yeah, she's being really super patient because she knows that if she's not on the clock here, it's really up to the Blue Devils to make it onto site before the timer expires, and they have really not made any progress here in the Waylay. Just flying by Carrots, and she does end up getting killed later on, and somehow it's just Jowzera left on this B site in tube, and he is going to just absolutely have no chance in that fight. Bomb comes down, and it's do or die for the Terps right here with only 2 of them left alive. Peach is able to just land something, is forced to use that Viper Pit to help the Terps flood out on this B site, where Swirls and Peaches get instantly killed. So the Blue Devils will take bind, and it's all up to the Terps to make it work on the next map.
Yeah, and we're going to be heading into Haven really soon. Another kind of fresh start for both teams, especially for the Terps. You know, just kind of shake this one off and just hit them hard the next map. And with that said, we will cut to a quick commercial break, and we'll see you back in a few minutes.
My name is Subin Kim, my in-game name is Carrots, and I'm the controller of this team.
My name is Hannah, my IGN is Tuxedo Sam, and I play Sentinel for the team.
My name is Sima, my in-game name is Care Bear, and I'm a flex.
My name is Megan, my IGN is Giraffe, and I'm an initiator.
My name is Sophia, my IGN is Soap, and I'm an initiator.
Hi everyone, I'm Ayush, my in-game name is Dulcexo, and I'm the coach.
For me, I think it was just really interesting to see like our names on like social media and like on a website. I'm just like, whoa, my name is on a website but so I think that was like the number one thing that kind of like just it brought the realization of like what kind of team I'm in, like what kind of position I'm in.
Meeting them. It's like hard to make a woman and non-binary friends in Valorant, so it's just really nice that we have like a team specifically for that.
The studio.
Yeah.
Oh, the studio. Oh, I didn't even know that existed. I didn't know that existed until like I remember like when we first talked about the studio, I was like, what's that? When I first went to the room, I was like, oh, there's cameras and lighting. I'm just like, that's
Nice computer.
nice
The
computer.
monitors
So
were
true.
crazy.
Winning.
Yeah.
Oh, so true.
Yeah.
W winning.
Getting that.
Yeah, that,
Yeah, I feel
that
like
was pretty cool. Plastic.
hey. I would say supportive is definitely like Dusty and Rachel. Those two, just like making sure we had scrims down, making sure we had practice schedules down. Like Dusty making sure like to pick out what we did wrong, just like helping us improve. I think definitely.
Yeah, Dusty's a very present coach. So
Very.
It's like he's really reliable and helped us through the whole season.
Thanks, team.
Yeah, you'd even like schedule things for us,
Like organize all the schedules.
help us map bands and like talk to
Stats,
them
yeah.
if like realize if one of them was like unranked or something. Breaking
Forfeit
a rule.
teams.
Forfeit
Making teams forfeit.
Maybe we don't talk about that last part.
I would also say like our fans in chat, like on
Oh,
stream.
true.
So it was nice knowing
W
people
chat.
watching us.
And the haters.
Oh yeah.
Improve in the higher division.
Yeah, it is definitely more challenging because we're in a higher division now. But I think we could with our coordination. I definitely think we could. We need to bring home another one of these.
It feels great.
You
Yeah.
guys know this is the first title that Terps Esports has won.
Wait, seriously?
And by
really?
women.
Oh, seriously? Oh,
First time.
cool.
I like playing Valorant.
Have an excuse to play games.
That's true. That's good.
For me, I joined because I've always wanted to be on a women's team, especially since I got to UMD, and me and Dusty had always tried to make teams work every semester, and this was the first time it actually did work and stuck, and the people who tried out were committed. So I guess I've always just wanted to be on a women's team to connect more to that community.
To make friends.
So I had that gap, without a team for a while, and then I saw the form, and I was like, I really want to try this. This sounds fun. And then, yeah, I play Valorant too much. First of all, I did not imagine me being IGL when I first started because I am, outside of my Lilac team, I am known as the no-brain, only aim chamber in comp. So I did not imagine myself being IGL. But I think if there were some difficulties in the beginning because no one I wasn't used to giving out comms. I was just very confused. But I think now it's just the amount of trust that my teammates give me when I give out comms and the amount of coordination that we have. I just love being IGLing because I trust that things will work out.
And I think by the end of the season, now we play together, everyone kind of jokes around a little bit more and kind of shines their natural ray. We're excited just to see them play better as well.
With the middle school program, the best part has been seeing the moments of teamwork where the middle schoolers really seem to get the game, and so that's when you can see they're starting to get a little bit hooked on how esports can be so fun.
Off game, or will Red turn things around?
Hey guys, welcome back. And you know what they say, new map, new mental. Actually, I don't know if they say that, but I say that. So the Terps are going to, shake it off, shake it off.
Yes, indeed. You Taylor Swift fan? You Taylor Swift fan?
Not too much, but like I know some songs. I know some songs. I know my Swifts.
It's a good one.
Yeah.
It's a good one.
Yeah.
But yeah, hopefully they can shake it off and they can win because they absolutely need to here on Haven if they want any chance of making it to coveted grand finals. Like we said, if they are not able to get the job done tonight, they're going to be battling it out in a constellation match next week. But they want to be in those grand finals. A constellation match still big achievement. Not every team gets there. Obviously, with a record of 7-1, a lot of teams did not even make it to this point. But they know they can do better. They know they can absolutely achieve greatness here. So they have to really just put pedal to the metal here on Haven, shake off whatever happened on Bind, and come away with a win.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And Haven, so they're starting on defense on Haven, which maybe not the most optimal depending on how you see it. But the attack side on Haven is so offensive, and I overheard Arjun talking about some things that they can start doing now that they may have not done before. So it looks like they're gonna bring in some new tactics into this next map, which is, it gives me a lot of hope. They might be down 1-0, but they're not out yet. They're not out until that score hits 2, or their score hits 2, which I hope for the latter. But sounds like we are in game into Haven, and let's take a really quick look at the comp. It looks like it's going to be a mirror comp with the Neon as the duelist, which kind of consistent on Haven. Don't actually know who's on what site, but for whoever's on B site is taking so much space, and it looks like the Terps are on defense, and it's just a bloodbath. They thought it was going to be a B site execution, but no, it's a B to C site. Man.
And now the Terps already find themselves in a really unfavorable position to win pistols yet again. And we saw how not winning the pistols on Bind really did not set them up for success. But the round is not over. Jalzera and Carrots have to work together here to defuse this bomb, and Blue Devils not going to make it easy. They're all holding C-Long, which is such a tricky place. They do have also KG utility. It's going to be so difficult. They have smokes. Jalzera lands one, but that's all it's going to be. And the Terps find themselves in another round loss after the pistol.
Yeah, it's so tricky to retake the C site, especially when you have 4 players down long and an Omen one way. You can't touch the bomb without getting shot at. And again, it's just another unlucky round for the Terps. But they can afford to lose some on defense. Defense is not the easiest thing ever. However, when they transition to attack is where everything starts to click, because you're attacking on 3 sites. The defense is spread thin, and what they're not doing this round is they are not spreading thin. They are trying to group up as much as possible, and the Terps are stacked on C with 3 people, and Swirls is going to try to hold some space here up in A main. This is going to be a really weird spot with his classic, but it's going to do so much damage because of that right click.
Yeah, he's waiting for a swing to come through, and he completely gets sold out by the Sova utility, so he's forced to back up, take a different close angle, but he's still trying to peek around that corner and backing up even more, just inching back towards their spawn closer and closer. Meanwhile, we do have a fight here with Jalzera being on the receiving end of a really clean KJ shot. And look at that KJ, absolutely out for blood for the Blue Devils. Finally, Peach is able to put a halt to that, although he quickly meets his demise as well. So the Terps really not a clean start to this round either, but that's kind of what you expect after you lose the pistol.
Yeah, and we're going to get a pretty big flank from both Carrots and Swirls. not too much to do here. Like, you kind of have to retake Garage, but there's, again, 4 people to 2v4 yet again, and they might look to opt into going long, which, again, is going to be presented with another really, really hard retake because they have just the guns. You have Guardians, you have you have a Guardian and a Bulldog. It's going to be really hard to kind of like outrange those guns, and I think what they're thinking right now is, just kind of die to this spike, or maybe play exits. They might get one here. They are.
Yeah, it's just a couple of constellation prizes for the Terps, downing two of those guns that the Blue Devils bought up. Not nothing, but it's not the result that the Terps would have hoped for. But like I said, you do kind of go into that second round if you lose the pistol expecting to not win. So again, not all hope is lost, but I was here on Bind saying something very similar. So we all saw how that ended up. So
don't Caster Curse it.
Not Caster Cursing it, but Terps really have got to turn
Actually,
this around.
Caster Curse the loss.
Okay.
We'll call it that.
A reverse.
Yeah. An inverse Caster Curse.
And already so much aggression off the bat from Swirls outside of A site, but it's being matched towards C long, where Chelsea unfortunately could not connect. Swirls trying to be the equalizer. Just nothing is seemingly working out. Carrots finding just one pick to deny a flawless should it come to that, but of course, the Terps still trying to fight with everything they've got. It's Void and Peaches who are trying to hold down A site with every HP that they have left. Void able to land 2 with a Phantom, make that 3, holding on to 30 HP. Not quite good for a 4th, but Peaches narrowly loses as well. Oh, they almost had it, it felt like.
It was so close. I mean, it was such a good hold from Void, too. It just comes down to, winning your ones at that point. But again, it was still such a good try from Void. And it looks very dominant in the side of the Blue Devils right now. Like, what can the Terps be doing to kind of like accelerate some of these round wins?
Yeah,
I don't know.
It looks tricky because they are trying to be aggressive on the defense, which they did try on Bind a couple of times, and I think that's the way that they typically like to play defense. But they're not winning those picks. The issue with being aggressive on the defense is you gotta kill people, because if you don't, you're just giving up all this space. Meanwhile, if you're more passive, if you don't land your opening shot, you have time. You can back up. You can delay with some utility. So they're playing a very high risk, high reward strategy, and it hasn't quite worked out for them.
Yeah, and Swirl's going to take a lot of damage here. Zera does get taken down on the C site, and it's going to be another retake.
And just maybe a bit of a rendezvous in mid. That's exactly what it's going to be. Look at Void, not quite able to connect on the second. And oh no, quickly comes crumbling down for UMD. And they're struggling to even find one round win so far.
Yeah, I mean, that's just the nature of Haven being on attack. Because it looks so dominant because they're like your defense is stretched thin. And I think this is, a really good timeout from Arjun. His timeouts have been on point tonight, and I think this is going to be like the one that really kind of turns the tide in this game. I mean, there's got to be a lot of talk about, like you were saying, the aggressiveness on defense, but they're not able to capitalize off of that aggression. Like, they have so much space, but they lose it pretty quickly. Like, go back a few rounds ago, I believe it was Swirls and Carrots both lost to just a lurking KJ that was sitting outside of a lobby. I mean, like, that's just stuff you gotta kind of check. It was an unlucky or an unfortunate kind of scenario that there was still one sitting there, but again, that was their buy round. They lost 2 guns off of that. Maybe that's not something you start doing third round.
I almost want to see UMD play a little bit more passively on the defense. Just try it, even if it's not necessarily something that they are super comfortable with, even gamble stacking, kind of look like they were going to do now, just changing up something, because what is about to happen is it's about to be an absolute brawl in A long, a little bit in A short, and whoever hits their shots is going to win the round. That's all there is to this next round. So it's very, very high risk, high reward. Let's see how it's able to play out with Swirls throwing some of that Neon utility early. Void strikes first. That is what the Terps need to turn the tides. Job is not done, though. They've done enough to kind of scare off the attack, back them up into their own spawn, but that is really what they needed to start off this round.
Yeah, no, that was a huge play, and now they just have to hold. They have to play lives here. They have 2 ults to use, and Swirls does go down, but there's a little bit of damage that went onto the KJ, but the Blue Devils Neon is so low. 1 bullet from just about anything could take them down, and Peaches is sitting on the C site.
And I like how the Terps are playing their defensive positioning now. They took their picks, and they're not going to get greedy. They're going to back up, hold the sites like they're supposed to, but it is going to be a C hit, and Peaches is there to work with Jowzera. Neon Wall comes through, so they are calling for some reinforcements just about now, but they've got to watch Garage as well, where it looks like the Neon was trying to gain an inch onto that C site. So going to be a scale towards B, and now B is the easiest site to retake here, so Terps should be feeling good about this, especially with Carrots landing a shot like that and is on the hunt for more. Not going to connect. Void will, though, down to 30 HP, and now there's only 1 Blue Devil alive who Peaches is able to take care of, and finally it seems like the Terps able to win a round on the other side of that timeout.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, again, that timeout was probably the most important one of tonight, because this stops, because they won, this stops a lot of the Blue Devils' momentum. And going back to what you said, too, I really like it when they play passive. Like, going back to Bind, that's what the Blue Devils did most of the game, is they played passive. They played, like, annoyingly passive, waiting for somebody to peek them. And I think especially in this game, they might want to just learn from their opponents a little bit and try to employ some of that, some of those tactics that they used last game. And again, there's nobody to be holding B site as usual. They're trying to hold as much space as they can between A and C, because B might be the easier one to retake, and that's going to be a really weird smoke from the Omen. I don't think that really helps the Blue Devils out, so they're going to have to take a lot of space, and this could be a huge ult from Carrots. Does get a lot of damage, though, not able to take anybody out, but the Terps have to be careful about these 4 ults.
Oh man, Peaches and Jowzera, really, really good picks. That's what the Terps need, even though Blue Devils are able to hold themselves true to this site. It's hard when you have, like, your attack dropping like flies, thanks to players like Swirls. Terps forced to kind of buy some time a little bit. Thanks to that KJ ultimate, they have to just kind of eat up a little bit of the clock. But they are still in a really good position to try and work out this retake. They have to be aware of grass. That is where most of these Blue Devils are positioned. Just going to absolutely spray through any smokes that are there. Going to use their KJ utility. And look at that KJ. Finally, Void able to answer. Void trying to be a meat shield. And he's way more than that as he's able to find the last pick. Oh my goodness.
I mean, tonight Void has showed some very, very intelligent plays. I want to say, like, his brain is working overtime tonight. Some of these plays, like sitting in front of Peaches, so that Peaches can defuse, and kind of being like the shield for that. I mean, when you jump in as the Viper, what's the first thing that you're gonna see? Somebody crouched that's looking like they're defusing. So your brain's gonna go, oh, I'm gonna shoot them. I'm gonna shoot them. I'm gonna shoot them. And for some reason, that player's shooting back.
Yeah, and like I said, he was more than a meat shield there, you know, because he found those picks, and it just left Peaches to just sit happily on that bomb. But here we are into the next round. Terps,
look to your left, look to your left.
Yeah, I gotta really clear that angle, or he might just get swung sooner rather than later. He's gonna have to retract back into Cubby, and Swirls still looking to take in a long fight there. Smoke comes down, and everyone's gonna have to come to a halt. But, oh my goodness, look at this KJ for the Blue Devils. You hate to see it if you're a Terps fan.
Yeah, I mean, that's the problem with having nobody B, is like you have to, again, it's just stretching defense thin. You have to prioritize some kind of site, whether it's like A, B, or C. But what they're doing is they're trying to prioritize both A and C and play retake on B. But they just don't have any util to work off of that. And Void doesn't get a timing. Maybe the Viper saw him.
I think the Viper actually must have not, because they're not quickly rotating. So Void might be able to have an unsuspected position here. He's going to have to find at least one of these players who's up in heaven, as the spike is honestly just taking down beyond repair. Peach is trying to find at least a pick or two, not going to cut it. Void has to just die to the spike here and just cut his losses.
Again, tough rounds for the Terps. They're kind of going back to their aggressive ways. Sometimes it's working, but like the real nail in the coffin from that round was just the KJ walking in through B.
Yeah, and like you said, with nothing on B, like they have no idea that that's happening, and that could potentially be something that the KJ can just exploit, knowing that that's a reality.
It looks like the Terps are going to opt into a very shotgun-heavy loadout for this round. Again, it's aggressive from Swirls and Carrots, but I mean they have this map on a pretty tight hold. Look at this Viper ult from Peaches on C site, especially with a Bucky. This is going to be really hard for the Blue Devils to take space, but Peaches might get it does get spotted by the Sova drone, and the Neon's able to capitalize off that kill. Just unlucky.
And that nullifies Peach's ultimate, which is really unfortunate. Terps still trying to make something go their way. They lose Swirls and Jowzera. It's not a bright outlook, but the round isn't over till it's over. 2v5 retake. Void only really has a judge to work with, and Carrots has a sheriff, so an uphill battle if I've ever seen one.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think they're gonna attempt to retake this. They might just die by spike here and hold exits. If they could potentially get one and maybe get the kills, but Void does get one, so that's gonna be a pretty hefty upgrade for maybe. I was gonna say maybe they try to rethink and retake, but after Carrots goes down, this is gonna be a definite save for Void, and Blue Devils might go hunting.
Yeah, they want to down any potential Vandal that could be in play here, and Carrots may just land a shot. Void. But it's really silver lining for Void, again, able to just down one more of those guns, just do that much more damage to their economy. But, speaking of damage, is it too far gone for the Terps? Not yet, but we're almost there. So the Terps, it's do or die in their play versus season. They've really got to turn it around right here, right now. Just get a couple more rounds on the defense before the half switch. That's all they need here.
Yeah, if they can get up to 4 rounds, that gives them a lot of breathing room for attack. And Swirl's already off to a really good start. Again, this is the aggressive plays we've been talking about. It's just a run in, try to get one, and then go play passive for the rest of the round.
But they're going to have to watch out for this Neon, who may just swing Carrots, or Carrots uses her utility. Not able to spot the Neon yet, does so eventually. Meanwhile, looks like Jowzera holding that garage angle. Still, they're playing passive, which is good. Like you said, it's kind of refreshing to see them change it up in this way. Again, they're leaving that B site completely clear. It does look like the KJ has some indication of that. Hoping to play retake there if that comes to it, but for now they're doing a good job of holding the Blue Devils to their line.
Yeah, again, the Blue Devils are being patient too, kind of matching the Terps' energy, but Void's in a really weird position here.
And he does lose his ground into garage. Meanwhile, Peach is able to land just something for the Terps. But look at Jowzera, who almost had a really great timing. Not quite going to work out for him. Meanwhile, Swirls just trying to make something out of seemingly nothing here. He does have Peaches, but he has to also watch out for Garage, and he just gets a glimpse of that KJ, not quite able to connect, still hoping to. He's just going to leave that up to Peaches eventually, or just deal with that later, because they're still trying to get a defuse on this bomb site. They clear back site, but they have to clear long, because that is where 2 of the Blue Devils are posted up and waiting for a defuse to come through. Sova dart comes through for the Blue Devils. Peaches has to dodge and weave around it, and so much time is being eaten up. Spike is ticking down beyond repair. Players dying quickly, and the Terps are really have their backs up against a wall here.
Yeah, I mean, they're doing well, and especially in the early rounds too, just off of swirls and carrots, just being aggressive, getting out there and getting at least an initial kill. But it's the later round that's really hurting them. Like, they are playing passive, which I think is good, but they're just losing some of their ones and losing the gunfights. I think once they have, Swirls almost gets one.
Oh, just cannot connect with that shotgun, and Carrots follow suit with a classic in hand. Come on, UMD, just get a couple of these guns out of play. Blue Devils have so many ultimates to use if they so choose, so just kill those players before they're even able to get there. That's gonna have to be what happens in this round, and for the remainder of their defensive half, it looks like. But Peaches might bite off more than he can chew, as there's 3 players who are about to swing him, but we've seen him land some crazy shots. Can this be another one? Oh, he's just good for 1 there, but Void still trying to cook up a storm on this site. Does some damage, not quite enough to connect. Jowzera left with a Sheriff and a seemingly impossible battle.
Yeah, there's going to be another round that goes to the Blue Devils. At this point, they're just stacking up ult points, and it's going to be a really rough last 2 rounds of this half for the Terps. And another timeout called from Arjun, trying to get a little bit of leeway. They don't have too many guns to work with. They have a Bucky, looks like 2 Vandals and 2 Guardians. If anything, this might be perfect outlaw buy for the Blue Devils. But it's just not looking good at all. Even if they can get this round, there's still going to be a tall task in front of them coming into the second half. But they will be on attack. And I mean, if you can gain a bunch of momentum like the Blue Devils have done tonight, you can put yourself in a really good position just going into the end game.
And to me right now, it looks like whichever team is winning their opening fight is winning the rest of the round. And right now, that's the Blue Devils. UMD is really not winning their opening fights, whether they're being aggressive, whether they're being passive. They're either getting overwhelmed on their sites, or they're just biting off more than they can chew, swinging into 4 of the attackers there. And they're losing those opening fights, and they just cannot seem to compensate once their number's down. So I think that is really where the issue is coming in for UMD right now, and it's not helping that they have a lack of confidence, clearly, with the scoreline and with losing map number 1. It's moments like these where you have to kind of shake it off, dig deep, and just play for the next round.
I mean, they have been able to get some early picks from the Blue Devils, but they just can't seem to close out the rest of the round. And this is such a really weird spot from Void. There's 3 down from Blue Devils, so this puts Terps in a 3v2 with a man advantage.
And they're just trying to wait out that Neon ultimate. They successfully did so. That is a huge sigh of relief as the Terps are looking to retake site. They do have their ideal weapons in hand, more or less. And Peaches just trying to clear back site. I don't think he's caught eyes on that Neon, and he's going to pay the price with an ace. Oh, wow. That Neon absolutely coming into clutch for the Blue Devils. There's really not much you can do about that.
Yeah, I mean, it looked like it was all said and done when the Blue Devils started pushing in to see long, and Void was able to get a little bit of a timing and kind of sneak past using the Neon wall. I thought that was pretty fun to watch, but again, it's just the late rounds.
Yeah, it's just been rough. It has been rough. The Terps are on their last defensive round. You have to hope that maybe they can scrape away with a 9-3 and trick themselves and mentally and just believe that 9-3 curse will, of course, happen. But they have a round to win before they can even consider those options. And they're going to play this round with so much aggression into mid. They're going to definitely get a taste of what's on the other side of these thin walls with that Sova drone coming through. And no trades have come through yet. But meanwhile, it's all a distraction. They've completely neglected A and C, and now they're going to be forced into a retake, potentially a flank in the face of all this KJ utility that's there as well.
Yeah, they do have 3 ults, and the KJ ult is going to be used from Jowzera.
Oh, Swirls narrowly loses his first operator shot. And look at that Neon who lands 2 on the Terps. Carrots is the only silver lining for UMD. She's worked her way onto the site. She has 3 players and a spike to defuse. It is just too tall of a task. So fortunately, the Terps not able to make it a 9-3 potential curse, and they have dug themselves in a bit of a hole.
I mean, we've seen them come back from worse, so it's not anything that's like too crazy of a hurdle, but it's still a pretty high hurdle. It is, you know, they're on the more like aggressive side of the map, which makes them in a better position. You know, they can kind of assert their dominance, especially on this attack side. It'll be easier, but they really got to watch out maybe for some aggressive plays on the side of Blue Devils. They have the Neon and Sova on a site, and they might just copy what the Terps did last half.
And UMD, if anything, they just need to come out of the gates absolutely swinging here, especially when met with the aggression that they're being faced with, along with Void being just forced into a fight with potentially 2 players once the smoke dissipates there. They have to get these opening picks to go their way. That's the only potential way they can crawl out of this deficit that they've built up here. So who is going to step up for the Terps? We're going to have to see how the next minute and 15 seconds unfolds. Peaches trying to clear sight carefully. And oh no, you got to clear that angle. Finally, Peaches able to do so. However, it's too little too late. They've lost Swirls and Peaches. Make that a 3-piece for the KJ. 2 Terps left alive. Void, Jowzera able to equalize, so not all hope is lost, especially considering they do still have bomb control and they're going to book it to the C site.
Yeah, really smart choice. I think they definitely know that they have to be flank or something. So this is a very strong post plan. Let's just hope that they can hold on to this. Jowzera doesn't have any KJ utility to fight for post plant, but I believe Void has a blind, which is going to be crucial for at least trying to get somebody off of the spike. So my guess is they're just going to have to wait for a tap and see what happens. Void might try to reposition here and see if he can get a timing onto the Blue Devils, but he does. Great positioning by Void, and that's a good 3K. That's exactly what you want going into the second half. That's the momentum you need. Just winning that first pistol round. And my Lord, Void is having a phenomenal game. I mean, he's 17-9. He's really just trying to keep the Terps in this game.
Yeah, he's definitely putting in the work for UMD, and maybe that will be enough to set the Terps up for a run here. That's the first pistol they've won tonight. So hopefully that is going to set them on the right foot for the rest of this half, because if they don't win this half, they will be walking away with a loss. So it's all up to them here. They're gonna buy up anything they can with just already rifles pretty much across the board. So they're hoping to catch the Blue Devils off guard, and this should, on paper, be a round win for them. But will it turn out that way in reality?
I do really like this buy from the Terps. They're trying to stack as many rifles as they possibly can, just to have something for the next coming rounds. This will give them they need to prioritize. If they win this round, they need to prioritize trying to win the next one. The next one is going to be the very crucial one, and Jowzera already gets a kill onto the KJ, and that's a free sight for them. They just got to be really careful about this Neon that's going to push out of garage.
Oh my goodness, Carrots with the Bulldog, able to take care of that Neon. So that threat is nullified, and now all the Terps have to do is wait for this retake to come through, hold their angles on the other side of these smokes, force the Blue Devils to take those unfavorable fights. Carrots and Void going to do a really good job of that so far, just leaving one defender left, who Carrots has a really clean shot on into Garage. So this is where it could start for the Terps.
Yeah, and the fact that they're going to bring home 3 rifles. They only lost the Sheriff, which is, I mean, you know, it's still a gun, but like, it's holding back those three rifles plus the Bulldog is crucial. Like I said, it's crucial for this next round. They need to win this one, and this Outlaw is going to be very, again, it's just the Outlaws that's been kind of annoying, especially in these early rounds for early half rounds. It's going to be kind of annoying because 2 of the Terps are on light shields.
Void starts this round off on a great foot. Although it's too little too late, he does get traded eventually. The rest of his team have to pick up the slack here. It's Peaches with a wall bang to give the Terps the edge numbers-wise. And now look at A-Site completely up for grabs. They are going to be able to have plenty of time to set up a post plant. And they have Jalzera alive. He's going to set up so much utility here. They have the Viper orbs to throw. They also have Sova as Carrots for post plant. So this, again, should on paper be a round win for them. But can they play their cards right? They get some idea that there's a retake happening up into heaven, especially with that turret there that they're going to have to shoot down. It does look like the Terps are unfortunately falling on A-Site early into the retake. However, they still have this bomb control. They have site control as well. Peaches lands one. That's all he's good for. It's Jalzera on site, though, who's able to have a good eye on everyone into heaven, and that is really what won him the round.
Yeah, and look at we got to look at the economy for the Terps now. They got to be booming. That's exactly the kind of round that you need to win. I mean, there's still quite a little bit of rounds to go through, but look at their economy. They have a good bit of a fallback now, and they can keep full buying their way through the next few rounds. And more importantly, they have Carrots' ult now, and most of them also have ult too. They're either 1 or 2 ult points off. This looks like a very heavy mid presence from the Blue Devils, so this is going to be kind of hard to take, but no, Void says no, gets the kill, but there's 2 players already down from UMD, and this is a bloodbath. They're getting pinched from every different side.
Oh, but look at Peaches, lands a 2-piece, swirls, gets one for himself as well, and this is a very optimistic outlook for UMD so far, especially considering they have that bomb control, and all the Sova has on the other side of the map is a Sheriff. So although Peaches has that 1 HP and a 1 Sheriff shot would do him in, you can't say the same for the rest of the Terps. They have a good HP, good utility available to them. I hope they don't get timinged. Oh no, it's a disaster for the Terps. Oh my goodness, it's just Peaches left alive with 5 HP and a dream. He's trying to just eat up any time he has, play mind games with the Sova. That's the only way he's going to get through here. Just going to show a piece of his shoulder, backs up behind the corner, lets that bomb tick down a little bit more, has the Sova utility working against him, continue to jiggle peek, it takes his gun out, and is prepared to take this fight. Pros don't fake. The Sova has it half, but has to stick sooner rather than later. Oh, he lands a really good shot. It's not going to be enough to buy the Blue Devils a round win, so somehow Peaches able to manage.
I mean, that was a really good way of time wasting. It's just Peaches did get kind of lucky on a lot of those taps. I mean, the Sova's just trying to draw out Peaches, but Peaches just kind of staying back. Again, it's very, very risky, but that's the round. That's another round that they need. If they can win this next round 2, this is going to be we have a really good game on our hands.
Yeah, and it's already so doable right now for the Terps. They just get a couple more rounds to go their way, and they're right back into this game. And they're going to start this crucial round by showing some presence C-Long, and look at the ultimates they have available to them. 4 ultimates. So they certainly can use those when they see fit and when they find themselves down and around, and that could be the difference maker.
Yeah, they can very well use this KJ ult to get enough space so they can get the Viper ult down, and then they have the it'd be a pretty expensive round, but they have the Sova ult to fall back on if the KJ ult or if the KJ on Blue Devils decides to hit. But Peaches does go out. Zera is able to get that trade. That's a huge trade, but Swirl's little too aggressive there.
And now the KJ ultimate is used for the side of the Terps. Zera and company trying to ward off any of these defenders from stopping this plant from happening. Zera going to reposition with only 11 HP into Hell, and yikes, that you hate to see Void die in that way. However, the rest of his teammates still trying to make this site execute happen, especially with Carrots getting picked off. It's really difficult, but Zera trying to make any kills he can go his way. He's only good for 3, and although that's very impressive, not enough to help the Terps win here.
Yeah, it's still such a close game. It's just like, I think holding, if Peaches were able to hold on to his life for that round, it would have been a much different story. But there's still 3 ults for the Terps, and Blue Devils I think only used 1 ult that round. So there's still a little bit of breathing room here. But like I said before, it's just this economy that the Terps have already built up. They can afford to lose like maybe 1. I mean, they shouldn't really lose to begin with, but should they lose 1, they don't have to completely like save or anything. They still have a really good buy.
Yeah, it's certainly still salvageable for them, but we keep saying it. It's gotta happen here. It's gotta happen sooner rather than later, with Swirls and Carrots both holding that angle. It does pay off for them, and look how much space they're able to take advantage of now. But the problem has not necessarily been getting that space, it's keeping a firm grasp on it. They've struggled in the post plant because of the Blue Devils' really strong retake. So Swirl's going to post up right in the corner of Hell, and Peach is going to have somewhat of an eye onto Heaven there. He gets kind of forced off because of that Viper utility. And look at Zera, who is just peeking and teasing around that angle. So many smokes on this side. It's going to force the Blue Devils to push. Trade comes through thanks to Peaches, and Zera responds as well. Terps keeping their own hearts beating.
Yeah, again, it's still such a really good post plant there. They're starting to learn, and the one thing I really like is they didn't invest this Viper ult yet. The ults are relatively even on both sides. The Blue Devils' KJ still holding on to that KJ ult, but now look at this. Even after winning 1 round, the Blue Devils have to save after the last round. It's just a fact of economy, and because of this, the Terps are still gaining so much more money because they didn't lose too many lives last round. So I mean, they're in the driver's seat right now, and I think Blue Devils are starting to realize that, and they're getting complacent.
And the Terps, for now, neglecting Spike. Instead, they're kind of opting to get more picks, but they have a really firm grasp onto mid. I would almost like to see them just flood onto B potentially. I know it's really easy to retake, but man, they could care less about the Spike right now. They're waiting for the Blue Devils to be impatient and to give them a swing. Not gonna happen though, for the looks of it, and they're gonna have to be forced to regroup as a team here and potentially lean towards C through Garage. Swirls trying to make Garage work. KG utility is there, so now all the cards are on the table. Blue Devils know exactly where they are. Void gets a much needed pick though, and actually we're going to scale back towards this A site, which is a great play call. Void's going to TP there into Heaven, might just be able to catch this defender on site completely off guard, or potentially these attackers or defenders leaning up towards Heaven. Void able to land the first shot there, so is Zera, although the job is not done because look at this Deagle Demon. Finally, Carrot's able to put a stop to that run, but there is still one Blue Devil alive who's able to drop down from Heaven on any moment here. Terps have got to plant this bomb, and that Sova is trying to not let that happen, considering dropping down, not quite going to do so. Going to use their Sova utility there, and now the Terps have to play some mind games. Oh, and Carrots.
Beautiful shot. So yeah, I really want to highlight what Carrots did here too. I mean, she was kind of patient on planning the spike just so that they can regroup and maybe get a little bit more cover fire for Heaven in the event the Sova dropped down. Because I mean, if the Sova dropped down and killed Carrots, that was game it. But I'm just getting a little bit of time so that Jalzera can help kind of regroup with Carrots and provide some covering fire. I think it was a smart play.
And this is an absolutely massive timeout. This is the first timeout we've seen from the side of the Blue Devils. And that's huge because when you look at it in terms of like momentum and just mental in this game, you don't want to take timeouts. Timeouts it's not like football timeouts where you take it like strategically. You know, you take a timeout when you feel like your team needs to like get it together. So it's actually a really, really good sign for the Terps that the Blue Devils are taking a timeout here. It lets them know that they've, made them worry a little bit, and rightfully so. The Terps have really clawed and scratched their way back to being competitors here on Haven.
Yeah, and I think Blue Devils are starting to realize it. Honestly, they might even be scared of Terps now because look at this half. Again, it's Haven. Haven is, I want to say, one of the most attack-sided or one-sided maps other than Fracture. But we don't really talk about Fracture.
Yeah, we don't talk about Fracture. Some teams talk about Fracture, but...
I mean, I like Fracture. I like Fracture. I just don't talk it around anybody else because people will probably yell at me for it.
I've seen some of our teams reach for it, but not our Academy team, at least. Going with the old school maps, which are Bind and Haven, and hopefully it works out for them. You know, they're still trying to work here onto Haven on the attack side. They make themselves known into Garage. That's all it is so far. Just, hey, see you later. We're actually going to regroup here towards mid.
Yeah, the Neon being pushed up so far for the Blue Devils. You just got to be really careful about re-clearing that space. Carrots is going to send out a drone. I believe she spotted the Neon. Yes, she did. The Neon's going to try to concede the space.
Oh, that KJ causing so many issues for this potential Garage push. It leaves Jalzera alone in Garage. And UMD is not cleared out A site or C site by any means here. Although Void was able to get a pick, they still have so much work to do inside of this Viper pit. A trade comes through there for either side. Terps do have a firm grasp on that bomb and are able to plant it, but they've lost so many of their players in seemingly like almost wasteful ways. They had numbers on site, and it's unfortunate they weren't able to keep it that way. And just it's gonna have to be a bit of an uphill battle on this retake. Oh, look at Jalzera.
Beautiful shot.
What amazing shot. Although he's not good for two, that is a beautiful shot. But meanwhile, looks like the Blue Devils are trying to stick this bomb. So Carrot's going to be forced to use the Hunter's Fury there. Still trying to use it. Runs out of it. And they're sticking this bomb. And that will win them the round. Oh my goodness. The Terps really, really, really could have won that round. It just got away from them.
Yeah, I mean, this it's... Yeah.
Because they had numbers on site for majority of that round. They lost their 1v1s.
Yeah, I mean, Jalzera got a really good I mean, he won his one, but it's just unlucky that Void wasn't able to hit that shot on the Omen. It's just unlucky placement too, because you can't really see through a smoke and you're kind of like going in blind. But Carrot's just trying to delay as much as possible with her ult. The Terps still have a relatively good buy, so this is not the end of the world. They still have Peach's ults.
And they've managed to flood here. They haven't cleared backside. That Viper's still there. She was able to get a pick, and that's rough. When again, you have numbers, you can overwhelm the Viper. Losing a player there is not a good thing. Jalzera trying to be the equalizer, gets traded into Garage. Numbers even here. Terps do have a Viper pit to work through, but they have to be aware of the KJ ultimate that is being used. And
but they're gonna be really careful about this flank.
Oh, and Swirls gets caught on the receiving end. So does Void. Unfortunately, the Terps not able to get it done in semifinals, but they sure did put up a fight. And you got to give credit where credit is due. The Blue Devils had absolutely an amazing game, and we can clearly see why they're an undefeated team.
Yeah, I guess the Terps do have something to look forward to, though. They do get to play the consolation match pretty soon, which is still, like you said, it's still a pretty big deal. So it's not the end of the world if the Terps are trying to get some kind of accolades. And I mean, this is still such a good team too. I mean, we've seen in the past they are. I mean, as of right now, they are 7-2. So that's still grounds for having a pretty solid team. But they have some things that they got to work on, especially like figuring out when do they be aggressive, when do they be patient, how to deal with that patience. But all in all, they still did put up a really damn good fight towards that end of the second half of Haven, which, I mean, coming back from a 10-2, you still made it really, really competitive towards the end of that the end of the match, and you definitely had. I mean, they had the Blue Devils sitting on on their tippy toes. It was a rough game, and they gave a pretty good scare. But what can you say?
Yeah, they definitely tried their best. Great season that they had to reflect on, and they will also be battling out for third place, which is still a huge accomplishment in their play versus ranked division. But before we head off the air, we have to thank our sponsors. We would like to thank the Philip Merrill College of Journalism. We would also like to thank Reckwell, and last but not least, Playwire. So thanks for tuning in tonight. We hope to catch you soon.